I had a good night's sleep.
Stardate 2244.8. We responded to a distress call from the Apollo. We warped into a graveyard.
Captain on the bridge.
We knew the Klingons were there. We just didn't know where.
Sit rep, Ken. Shields are up, weapons are ready, but we're having trouble spotting them.
What about our ships?
Gone, sir.
2 D6s inbound high, bearing 136 degrees.
Red alert!
They're opening fire. Incoming torpedoes.
Evasive, full impulse.
Inertial dampeners down. Secondaries online.
Bridge engineering. Alexei, we just lost it.
I'm on it. 5 minutes.
And I also need...
Reserve power to phasers.
Mr. DeVille, get us 50 clicks above the nearest D6. Icarus maneuver on my mark.
Z plus 50 clicks. Aye, sir.
Closest hostile port shields down to 33%.
Target port nacelle, Tara.
Target locked.
Stand by tractor beam.
Tractor beam. Aye.
Shield power fluctuating, Captain.
We've lost power to communications.
We're losing lateral starboard thrusters.
Make it count, Corey.
I always do.
In position in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Icarus, mark.
Hostiles port shields now at 17%. They're down.
Fire phasers. It's all you, Commander.
Got it. Steady, Mr. Gaville. Let's see their shield stop this. Now, Mr. DeVille. Scratch 1d6.
Status on the other ship.
Second ship is coming about. Wait. The plasma's igniting.
Damn. That's not something you see every day.
There we go.
All right, everyone, have a good night. Bye.
See that.
Our job is done here.
Yeah.
There's your update right there.
Yeah,
Can't top that. Let's just go home.
Yeah. So I figure a little Icarus maneuver never. I just noticed that we have it here loaded up into. Now this isn't as good a quality as you find either on the website or eventually the Icarus maneuver. I'm sure will be in the Axanar box set, Blu-ray box set that we send to all the donors. So we'll go. But happy 150, everyone!
Woohoo!
Yeah, I was like, whoa, 150 episodes. That's pretty good. So
I can honestly say that I've been a part of 15 of the 15 out of 150.
Well, we started this.
You've been on it more than me.
We started this back during the pandemic. Just there was nothing better to do, so we were like live. I was live streaming twice a day. I mean, it was just like get up, set up a live stream, do some work at night, do a live stream. Back at our old house, and it was a lot of fun. So it's good. Everyone doing all right? Is there any new? I will say the one geek thing that I'll bring up is that Farragut has their new trailer up. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I have not seen it yet. I meant to go look at it, and I've literally been nonstop busy for days.
It's good. It's good. It looks good. Josh Irwin's going to join us in a little while. He can tell he's worked on it. He can tell us a little bit about it, but it looks really nice. I mean, it's definitely, here's the thing that I firmly believe, and why I want to do something, why I want to do a Star Trek fan film. We'll discuss what it's about. It's set in the movie era because I really think that those monster maroons that look so good on a dark bridge. So the contrast, when you look at Star Trek 6, which, when I watched Star Trek 6 a few years ago when I was at my old house. So I know it was at least 4 years ago. But it was on our big screen, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, that looks good. Obviously, the quality of the print's important, but I really think the Monster Maroons look fantastic when they're shown on, against the dark backdrop. And they really pop. And so that's what they're using. And they've got good quality Monster Maroons. So it looks good. I said that about when you see Kirk and Co. on the Enterprise B in Generations, and you see him crawling around in the bowels
in the bowels of the ship, and it looks fantastic.
Doesn't it look
getting thrown from side to side, but it looks fantastic.
It's Star Trek 6 30 years ago, right? It's amazing how right. What year is that? It was
91. No, 92 or 91.
I want to say 91.
Yeah,
because I just remember it coming. I remember it coming to UK Sky TV, which is satellite TV, for the first time in about 93, 94, I think it was, and it was brand new for us back then.
December 6th, 1991. So you were close, but
so 33 years ago. Holy shit, 33 years ago, and it still looks fantastic. And Generations looks even better. Generations looks up, and Generations when was Generations?
93.
No, yeah,
94. 94. Right? They basically as soon as they hit cut on the last scene of TNG, they started filming Generations.
Generations is 30 years old, and I still will argue it's one of the best looking Star Trek films.
It's got one of the best ship shots, and I know some people in the audience and yourself don't like the Galaxy class, but its approach to the Armagosa Observatory.
Beautiful.
Oh,
but it's
my God.
All that Armagosa stuff, because of the way they lit it, especially all those interiors look so amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
One of the light that's seeping into the ship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of the great things I appreciated about Generations was like the seamless transition from TV, like for Next Gen, the TV to the movie. Like, yeah, they did kind of spruce things up a little bit for the movies, but in all actuality, like, you could really go from watching like the last episode of TNG and then watching the movie Generations, and like you don't feel like it's that big of a leap. It's not like we went to like Star Trek Generations and then the bridge of the Enterprise D looked like the bridge of the Enterprise E. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm so glad that they honored what they had in the show. And yeah, they blew the ship up by the end of it, but that's okay. At least they gave us a legit transition point, not like they just spruced up the bridge for the movies. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that
the transition we got from the original series to the motion picture. It was quite different.
Yeah,
the ship itself was quite different, and the bridge.
But they also did a whole refit on the ship, though, so it's kind of understandable. But like, this basically was kind of like still like in the heyday of their tour, with the Enterprise. It was a seamless transition.
No, which of course is the way it was shot. I mean, they literally started shooting Generations 4 days after they wrapped next gen. It was, the interesting thing. I was watching the Sean Ferrick's thing about, it was like 20 things you didn't know about Generations or whatever the hell it was. And then he talked about the costumes because they had been going to a different style costume.
Oh, yes.
Berman torpedoed it. And I actually owned a couple of those prototypes.
Right. That's one decision of Berman that I do actually agree with, because they looked crap.
I didn't think so. I thought they were, I guess what my feeling was, they were moving, they kind of had that flap, so it kind of went back towards the Monster Maroon. And my feeling is, you're in space in a controlled environment, you should be in your pajamas. not literally, but meaning the clothes on TOS. I still think the clothes on TOS were the most accurate. Enterprise was good also, jumpsuits that are always easy. But so that's why, Berman canceling those costumes, I get. And then the way they integrated the Voyager style, with the next gen style, like they were in transition. That's okay. I mean, I kind of like that. Then again, the way that happens is all of a sudden the computers stop replicating the old style and they start replicating the new style. There's one shift in which you have the excuse for literally an 8-hour shift in which you have the excuse to wear the old uniform before the new uniforms, So I was like, okay, but I'm good with it.
Yeah. I mean, I like it as well. I also like how in DS9, even though they're wearing the gray suits at this point in DS9, you still see one or two people kicking around in TNG season 3 onwards uniforms.
Yeah, and listen,
I think it was the signing of the surrender. There's some guy standing at the back with captain's pips on, wearing, I think it's probably a hand-me-down from Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, and listen, it also could be that you're on deep space assignment and, your computers don't get the updated the updated costumes.
Like Voyager. Voyager got, it was in contact with Starfleet, and they saw the new uniforms.
But they didn't change.
Well, but it also would have been a huge energy drain. Like, I think that would have... Absolutely,
yeah.
That would have been See, that's actually something I never thought of. So does that mean that they replicate new uniforms every day?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and when they take them off, they put them in the replicator and then they dematerialize them?
There's the question. The question is, what is more energy efficient? To take a uniform and wash it and dry it, or to decompose it and recompose it as a new, I don't know.
Indeed. Yeah, what do they do? Well, we do know that the replicators will not produce uniforms for anybody.
Yeah, you have to have certain clearance to produce uniforms.
And presumably some sort of update gets thrown out via the subspace to the computers with the new uniform code. Yeah. So that when you say one uniform, please, instead of the uniform that you were wearing yesterday, it's now the new design. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. We got a new uniform.
Ran low on Cardassian tailors. Yeah, but that is something I never ever until this very moment, today years old, thought about. Like, do they wash it in the sonic laundromat, or do they, that's what I want to see on Voyager. They should have set up a sonic laundromat.
Yeah, in theory, you could just wear it in the sonic shower and it'll just bring it off.
Yeah. Well, but wouldn't you have to take your clothes off though? Josh, great time for you to come in and talk about taking our clothes
off. Not you in particular.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the changing costumes in Star Trek Generations.
Oh yeah, cool.
I was asking everyone if they saw the Farragut trailer, and I was saying how wise it was to shoot Monster Maroons and movie era, because that is visually the Monster Maroon on those dark bridges. Just it looks so good, and
looks great.
And going back to Star Trek 6 or Star Trek, the beginning of Star Trek Generations, those costumes just look amazing. So it's a lot harder to screw up. It's a lot easier to get a high quality look out of them. And so the stuff that I saw in Farragut, it looks good. It looks really good.
Beautiful work. The director, Johnny Kay, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but he made that really cool looking Batman movie not too long ago.
Which one?
It was called The Oath, I think.
Oh, we did a fan reaction on that one.
Yeah, I liked it. So they're working on it. I helped him out a little bit with some transporter.
Lost you.
Helped him out with some transporter beams and some L cars. And I don't just straight up steal Alexander's L cars. I do.
Oh, feel free.
Put my own effort into it when I make them.
Don't you know we all steal intellectual property from everyone all the time?
Absolutely. We're doing it all the time. So just go right ahead.
Yeah.
My lawyers are standing by.
No, I love your page though. It is awesome. It's
I'm happy when I see something of mine pop up on a bridge screen somewhere. I'm like, have we all seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is like, yeah, that's me. Every time I see something that I did, I'm like, ooh. So I'm flattered.
We used some of your stuff in the Enterprise C movie we're making with Ray Tessie. Me and Ray. So
being that I'm Alexander's agent, you and I can discuss royalties.
Well, the movie had zero budget, so there you go.
We'll take our 10% of that.
10% of zero. That would be zero.
Never be afraid.
As long as I get my percentage, it doesn't matter how much it actually is.
Never be afraid to hit me up and ask me for something.
Yeah.
Okay. I
could use a crisp $1,000 right about now.
I've got some interesting stuff that I'm going to be doing next year that I was actually thinking about reaching out to you to talk about. So
go right ahead. Ferret has used some of my stuff.
You got 2 projects I want to see finished. Come on, dude.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
I've got 6 projects in the queue right now.
Damn.
So I need to, it's going to be going nonstop from now until God knows when.
Oh.
And that's after winning all those crazy awards and all of that. So.
Oh, you had to drop that in there, didn't you? You just had to mention your awards.
Just had to mention that we swept.
That's right.
It was funny because actually Tyler's the one talking all the trash about it.
I asked Mark. I said, "What happened? Why didn't Icarus Maneuver get in there? We can't have Josh winning everything." But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even sure he knew about it because he's not really tapped into. I'm like, why didn't Jonathan reach out to Mark? I'm just like, I know Jonathan's all adverse to getting involved with Axanar. I think because the haters are always stalking him.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do.
Well, that would be a Jonathan question.
Yeah, listen, as with all trailers, I reserve my judgment. A trailer means nothing. A trailer tells you nothing. It can get you excited to go see it. It has zero to do with the quality of a project. And I don't mean that as a negative or a positive. It's like, hey, listen, I'm looking forward to see what Farragut does. I'm a supporter of them like I am of all fan films. So let's see what they got. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they moved into the movie era, and which is something I'd like to do after we're done with Axanar. By the way, I showed Axanar once again to another one of my longtime friends who's a huge fan of the project, and I said, okay, with the normal disclaimers. Look, there's no VFX. Just the previs is in there right now, which is a big up. Now we have previs in the rough cuts. I said there's nothing composited. It's all green screen, And I said, but all the performances there, and it's edited the way it's going to be. I said, check it out and tell me what you think. And he was like, holy crap, that was good. I was like, good. He was like, that's as good as Prelude. I was like, love hearing that. So just one more person who's seen it, who's excited about it. And I will tell you, I watched Prelude again the other day, which I don't do very often, maybe once a year. And I watched Prelude beginning to end because I was looking for something. And so I started watching it, and I just was like, and part of me was like, half of me was like, holy fuck, that is good. And the other half of me was like, holy fuck, we've got a pretty high bar we've got to clear this time, And then yesterday we had a VFX meeting at night. Mark Ryan, the compositor, the all-around VFX guy, who's amazing. And Dana and myself. And it lasted about an hour and a half. We went over compositing, went over the backgrounds, went over the look and stuff. Because one of the things that's different this time is that now we have the bridge scenes. So now Garth, Trask, Sonia, who else? Rabot. I pronounced it like Tony Todd there. Rabau are all shot on the bridge practically. So whereas Prelude is all green screen, everyone's green screen. So that has a certain consistency as you move through Prelude. Now we're going from green screen to practical, and you have to pay attention to the way that transition works, so it's not necessarily too jarring. Now, fortunately, we have the Leonov stuff that we shot in 2019, which, the scenes we've got are pretty much the only thing salvageable from that shoot. But they, so we're able to see how things can look, and it affects the way, the way we're talking about backgrounds, and it's like how close to the, what background is Travis going to be on? Because in Prelude, this was his background, and how about the Klingons and so on and so forth. So it was a great meeting, and it was so much fun because the new guy who's doing our compositing is just aces. He's amazing. So, but it's all going on. And I had that conversation. I said, look, everyone got to keep referring back to Prelude for a number of reasons. One of which is that's the bar we have to get over. The other is that's the look. Milton, the DP, created a look based on, the documentary called Fighting Ali. I said, you all should go back and watch Fighting Ali so you understand where Milton was coming from. The way he's using the camera to tell the story, which when you go back to Prelude, you see it, and especially those extreme close-ups, especially on Saval, they're really impressive. but they're not used all the time. And when, you have to understand when they're being used and stuff. So anyway, it's really exciting. I'm trying to get Ryan to give me more stuff so I can release. And by the way, if you're not a member of our Patreon campaign, you should be, because I would say every other day I'm posting something on our Patreon campaign: video, backgrounds, composites, VFX. The best way, if you're interested in finding out what's happening on Axanar as we are getting closer and closer, that's the way to do it. And I will say that
one thing that I've pointed out a few times, I think it is the bar that you have to live up to with Prelude. Because you could just get something done and throw it out there. But the problem I think that you've created for yourself is that you have to rise to what has already been established or try to exceed it. That's not as easy. And so that's something that takes time to get right. A lot of us have seen the cut of the film, and the story is there, the elements are there. Basically what it's come down to now is the VFX and the compositing. That's in the sound mix. Those are the elements that are left to be put in, and those are the elements that take the longest. So, yeah,
and let me tell you,
it's really about meeting that bar.
Yeah, and let me tell you, yesterday, Claude Dozier, who was our costume consultant for all the Cage era costumes and produced all of those, he's always on me like, so what's up? And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not saying when I think it's coming out, because I'm always wrong, right? And more importantly, the process is moving along well, and it's, we're keeping it moving. It's moving at the pace it's moving. And if something happens and we have to revisit, because we're not going to let it go unless I'm not going to let it go unless it's right on target, And so, I'm reviewing both of the edits today and tomorrow, because I told Mark I would give him final approval, by this weekend. So we're done. We've got the final cuts ready for compositing. Right now, compositing is focused on the backgrounds and hasn't really done any final compositing yet. We've really been focused on the backgrounds and who gets what background, and so yeah, I'm not going to say it's coming out anytime, because I'm always wrong. But that's okay. The most important, listen, it's 10 years since we started this thing. What's another 6 months? I don't give a shit. The most important thing is that when it comes out, it needs to be received the way Prelude was received, right? People need to be blown away. And I'm really happy that Farragut looks so good. I'm happy, because it's like me going and watching all the Star Wars fan films. I keep going, holy shit, holy shit, that's good, and it makes us. We talk about it on that meeting last night. We talked about it. Look, the state of the art is different than it was 10 years ago, and if we did Prelude now, the compositing of Prelude would be different. You would, Tommy Kraft did a wonderful job, but he has a very Tommy Kraft way of doing compositing that makes the background so brighter. And there's, I get it. It's so. Anyway, by the way, I want to say hi to Nemesis of Eden. Pay attention, Nemesis. Now that we're doing all print-on-demand T-shirts, your T-shirt is on its way, which, of course, is the Warhammer and Sex Toys T-shirt. I am going to have that up. Matter of fact, Alexander, put that on your list of things to do. We need to get that T-shirt ready so people can start buying it. And that, Nemesis, we love you, man. It's good to see you again. I was thinking of you yesterday because I know I still owe you.
It's a long list.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, it's a long list.
So Storm says none of his interviews, all the interview stuff from 2019, we were able to save Leonov, basically because there was a lot of ad lib, and a lot of that stuff was off my original script, and we saved one other character, who and both of them were they were reading stuff off the original script, not the edits that he who shall not be named and I worked on together. We had to go back to the original script because a lot of bullshit, which I don't want to waste time talking about. So there's literally, those are the only two salvageable shots from that entire shoot. Now, all the stuff we did on the bridge is salvageable. The question is how we use it. There's, as far as Travis goes, there's one shot of Travis that we'll use towards the end of episode 4. So there you go. Anyway, please don't die on your way home, Josh. We really don't want to have to fill out any police reports.
I won't be driving slow. Won't be looking at you. I'll talk to you, but I may not look over.
That's fine. Mike from Denmark says, since you're talking about what was the reason for the change after Prelude going into Interlude? Remember, Prelude takes place 10 years after the war, right? Prelude is part of the 4 Years War documentary series, which is a retrospective of the 4 Years War. That series takes place 10 years. That was why they are in cage era costumes. Okay. Interlude and Icarus Maneuver take place during the war. So that's all Axanar, what we call Axanar era costumes. Hopefully that answers the question there.
And you want to talk about like compositing and the details in VFX. Interlude took forever. Interlude's 10 minutes long, and it took a year and a half to edit.
Wow.
But that's because of, in large part to a very detailed-oriented individual named Jonathan Lane, who would worry about the direction that each shuttlecraft was flying in the background.
Yeah.
Admiral Slater.
Too many cooks.
And you couldn't, and the thing is too, you couldn't vary from the script. You couldn't vary from the script. If a line got recorded, by God, it had to be said the way that he wrote it.
Yeah, that was one of the things that the actors have talked about on Star Trek. Like if they changed a word, or they'd have to run it up the flagpole, and someone would have to go up to the offices and check with Berman. And I was like, that's not necessarily conducive to a good environment for your actors.
Well, and on Avalon, what'll happen is Tyler will just, he'll just disregard whatever I write anyway and just say whatever he wants. But then again, I've let him get away with that for over a decade. So whatever film we're working on, he'll just ad lib. There was a whole movie we did where I wrote dialogue for Tyler, and then he just said he didn't want to say it. So I just erased every line of dialogue and wrote Tyler improvs. And it's good.
Was that tough to kill?
It was really good. No, it was Rain, where he played a homeless drug dealer thief.
That's quite the occupation.
He was like a tweaker that was on meth and stuff, and he's like doing this crazy performance where he's head bobbing and he's got a twitch and he's talking 800 miles an hour. It's really something. He carries the whole movie just by himself.
By the way, I know you mentioned you work with Adrian Paul.
Yeah.
And so I was on Amazon. Amazon is the last refuge of the awful sci-fi movie. All the bad sci-fi movies, low budget sci-fi movies, wind up on Amazon. So Adrian Paul was in one.
That.
Well, Adrian Paul was in one. I don't even remember what it was called. Apocalypse or something like that. Apocalypse or Apocalypse, something like that. I'm like, all right. And I knew I knew it wouldn't last. I go, I'm just going to check this out. Richard Grieco was in it. I check it out, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so freaking bad. And I'm just thinking, it's so bad. I'm like, I know that and I was thinking of you because you were the one who mentioned Adrian. And I said, I know that if I got together with Josh and maybe Mark and one or two others of the people we work with, whatever you gave us that script, it would be 10 times as good as what they ultimately produced. It was atrocious. Everything about it was atrocious. And I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad for Adrian Paul being in a piece of shit movie like this.
You know, the thing about Adrian Paul is, you know, they say don't ever meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. Somebody that's not true about is Adrian Paul.
That's cool.
He is a good man. I got to spend a week with him in 2021, and it is just a treasured experience that I have because he was an excellent human being. He would come down and shoot pool with the crew. He'd hang out. He would talk to me about kung fu and swords for 2 hours. I mean, just an excellent guy. And he was in a film that I was working on called Wildfire: The Legend of the Cherokee Ghost Horse. And it's being produced by my friend Eric Parkinson. Now, I'm not going to comment on whether or not the movie is any good because it's not out yet. But he's in it, and I shot it. So there you go.
Yeah. We'll see. How long is Farragut Forward? How long is that episode?
I don't know. I have not seen it. I'm gonna venture a guess that it's guideline compliant though. So
maybe they're doing 2 15-minute episodes.
They might be. They have. Like I said, I've only seen like clips of it. I haven't seen the whole film because like the director Johnny, he'll say, "Hey, can you make me a transporter beam for this, or can you make me an LCARS for that?" And he'll just send me the clip of that scene. So I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a game changer. They're very detail oriented people. I mean, they're very detail oriented on the costumes. They're very detail oriented on the sets. I mean, everything they do, makeup, you name it. They care about the littlest things. And so I think you're going to see a really high quality fan film when it comes out.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. The question, listen, with all fan films, the question is always going to be, ultimately, is going to be the story and the acting. The other things you can, I think the things, not to take anything away from anyone, but the things that they're doing well. I mean, I think they've always done a great job with their sets and their costumes. And that aspect of it, Broughton's, I would say Broughton's anal retentive like me and loves, every single detail has to be, we're the same there. So I'm sure that's all going to look good.
His whole basement is just a big sewing area.
Yeah, he's so into that.
He loves to make costumes, and if you go to his place, man, he's got the mannequins, he's got the sewing machines. Like he really gets into it. He really enjoys the costuming part of it.
Yeah,
and I would say those details are the things I always screw up on. I'm always looking at my costumes in films that I work on, going, man, I'm really frustrated with how the costumes look in this. So,
well, I told you,
my hats off to them.
Yeah, I'll do that for you next time. I'm going to be like, stop, you're not shooting this scene until I'm done.
Well, and that was what I watched you do when I was that one Axanar shoot that I went to is, I've told people it was almost like you weren't there until there was a costuming issue. Then you were like right up on it until it was exactly what you wanted. And then you kind of disappeared and Mark and Ted started doing their thing again.
Yeah, you have to have someone because the times we have not done that, it's suffered. I mean, all this, listen, I look at it, I look at it, with the stuff that was shot when the other guy was, the director. And I was like, who the hell was paying attention to and that's why I learned it's got to be me. If I'm not the guy paying attention to the costumes, then there's going to, it's going to be a problem.
Well, and somebody's got to do it, because even if you have really good costumes, you're paying attention to so many things. If you're me, you're paying attention to so many things that are going on during a film.
Right.
It's just simple stuff like a Picard maneuver, or straighten it, or twist here, or pin this up, or whatever, because you'll get in there and you'll be like, oh, damn it. Like one story that Jonathan likes to tell is on the film that my most recent release is The Death of War. And we had an issue where Glenn Wolfe had to leave the day before we started shooting. It was a 4-day shoot where we worked on 3 projects. He stayed for 2 and left for the last 2, but he left costumes for us. And the costume for one of the characters had the wrong rank braids on it. It only had like lieutenant stripes, and she was supposed to be a commander. And so Jonathan comes to me when he watches the cut, and he says, hey, you need to go in there and post and add another braid on her uniform. And I was like,
yeah, that's easy.
I'm like, I'm gonna add another braid in post,
because they never mess up rankings
huh?
on. They never mess up rankings in Star Trek ever.
Yeah, right. And I was sitting there thinking, like, there's no way to do this. And then it hit me, and I was like, yes, I actually could do it. And so if you look at Caitlin Bailey's character, Commander Mason, she in fact now has commander's braids on her uniform where she had lieutenant's braids before. And so I gave her another set of braids in post, and it took a solid week just to do that. So
God bless you. That's amazing.
Jonathan, I tried to shoot that idea, and Jonathan wouldn't have it. He's like, no, you can do this. I'm like, this isn't even your film, Jonathan. And he's like, no, you can do this. You can go back there and totally fix it. And I did. And he was looking at stuff from the latest Ray Tessie movie that I shot, going, hey, I think you could do this, this, and that. And I was like, you bastard. I figured out a way to do it, but it's going to take a week. And he's like, well, sorry, that's what it takes. I'm like, I hate you.
Because if you didn't do it, someone would
Somebody's
point it out
say
and go,
something.
Yeah. There are people that will freeze frame everything and go through and look for inconsistencies.
Oh my God. I want to do a live stream that's nothing but talking about the things that people comment on these films.
I love those videos when people go through and do either like comments where people are like shitting on you, or going back and like nitpicking like stuff. Like I love those videos watching.
Well, the shitting on ones, I want to have, the Obama reads mean tweets or whatever. I want to have like Tyler do that. Like Tyler reads mean comments.
That would be amazing. I would watch the hell out of that.
But one of the most ridiculous I ever read was some guy commenting that there's a group up here in Scotland, up in Dundee, the Starship Intrepid. You probably know of them.
Of course, Nick Cook.
Yeah, Nick Cook. Yeah, really good guy. Sometimes too nice. Sometimes he just needs to grow up and go. Shut the fuck up.
Listen, I absolutely agree with you. I love Nick to death.
Because someone in one of his videos from last year went, "Why are all the crew Scottish?" I'm like, and one person who wasn't Nick said, "Why are all the Star Trek crews American?" Shut the fuck up.
Really? I mean, like, look, you have people all over the world doing these. You have people doing them in the Czech Republic. You have people doing them in Germany. Like my friends that do Laura Lee, they're all speaking German. Well, okay, some German people made a fan film. Watch it, and who cares?
Yeah, why not?
Listen, I want to hear Germans speaking German with an American accent. That's what I want. I
wonder how that would sound.
I've come across so much criticism in 6 years of doing this that I've started to categorize it. Where there's like there's the people that there's a religious adherence to either a TOS bubble or the Franz Joseph Technical Manual, where they're like, well, in the Franz Joseph Technical Manual, the ship can't do that, or if it's not something that was done in TOS or adheres to a line spoken there, retconning something that was retconned in TNG, you can't do that. Like, I get that, Romulan ships can't travel at warp speed. That's the dumbest comment I've gotten it like 4 times. And it's like, that makes no sense. How would they get anywhere?
Right.
You get unsolicited
singularity
advice.
shifting.
You get, but the 2 things you get the most that are criticisms are going to be someone maligning the acting. That's the number one. That's the number one thing. The second is people getting really weird about the age of the actors. Or the like how fit they are. So it's like you can have people that just have normal body types, not even fat people, not even like huge individuals, like normal people. You put them in uniforms, they're like, man, this crew really needs to get a gym installed on their spaceship. Man, they need to less trips to the replicator. They'll make all kinds of snarky comments about the crew being fat. And you're like, what? There could be
90% of the people that are making those comments have nothing to talk about themselves.
Oh, I'm sure. And then the other thing you get is you could have one background actor that has gray hair and they'll be like, this crew is just too old. Are you kidding me? But then if you go and your entire cast is under 35, they'll tell you, oh, these people are too young and it's not credible. Or if you have one character that's over 35, they're like, this geriatric crew, that captain needs a walker. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. They will always just absolutely savage you.
Listen,
you're doing something right when they're criticizing you.
There needs to be a fan film called the USS Geriatric Prize. And just all the older people with white hair, even young people, just give them platinum hair and just be like, this is our final voyage. It's been going on for 5 years. We can't find the starbase, and I have to pee. Like,
what was the Simpsons skit? Star Trek
Star
16.
Trek
So very
12.
very tired.
So very tired. Exactly.
I think that would be like the greatest comedy fan film ever, and like just.
But to that point, though, it's like if you watch anything after Wrath of Khan, and in Wrath of Khan, Kirk celebrates his 50th birthday. You watch any film after Wrath of Khan, it's like fans accept that. You know what I mean? But it's like you put a guy in the captain's chair who's 38 years old, and they're like, man, that dude needs some dentures.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yes, I guess
CBS found him. He said Wrath of Khan and Kirk's 50th birthday. CBS was like, nope.
No, we can't have that.
Can't have that. Can't have our godsend Kirk sounding bad.
Is there a black van following you, Josh?
No. Thankfully,
maybe they changed it to white.
I'm trying to get through like a wreck at the moment. That's up the street. They got a lane closed.
So yeah, well, I listen, I think the challenge with fan films is not looking. If you're shooting for trying to really replicate, then the challenge is doing the things that make you look like a real Star Trek, right? And you can do all you want, like you can do all the new Voyages, Star Trek Continues, Farragut stuff you want, which their costumes are awesome, their sets are awesome, they got the music, they got the VFX, they got it all. So what's different? The actors. That's what's different, and of course the story. And they come close with the story. I mean, there's a lot of good writing in Star Trek Continues, Star Trek New Voyages. I think there's a lot of good writing. What's the difference? The difference is always going to come down to the actors. So that's why in Star Trek New Voyages, there's some great stuff because you got Brian Gross doing Kirk, who's a professional actor, or you've got you got actors from the original Star Trek appearing in Star Trek Continues. So there's a lot but when you start matching those actors up with fans, that's where the breakdown comes in. I've told the story before how someone we know did a trailer, a 20-minute short, kind of trailer for something called Cowboys and Engines. And he hired Malcolm McDowell for a day, which cost him like $50,000. And he had Malcolm McDowell on a green screen set, which was fine. The green screen was acceptable. But he surrounded Malcolm McDowell with his friends who weren't actors and didn't look like actors. And they looked like Renaissance Fair rejects. And you just ruined a $50,000 actor's performance because of who you surround him with. So that is always going to be the challenge with fan films. Now, you can either worry about that, or you can say, I'm making a Star Trek fan film and I'm doing it with my friends because we want to play Star Trek. And that's totally cool.
Yeah, it just depends on the why. If it is
because Josh is in Arkansas, which is like a third world country. You're frozen, Josh. Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
But
Josh
how good has technology come along there, where a guy he's just driving in his car and he's talking to everybody on the internet? Come on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
it hit me one day when I was driving home and I got a call from a friend in America. You've met him, Moshe, the Warhammer guy.
Sure.
And he's in his car driving someplace, and I'm like, if you told us 20 years ago that I would be sitting in a car talking to you, sitting in your own car, talking to me, I would have called you crazy.
Right, exactly.
But the fact that it freezes up every so often,
yeah. What are you going to do?
He'll be back.
He'll be back. That's fine.
They always come back. These fan film creators, they come back.
Yeah.
They can't stay away. So, yeah. And
dealers.
As fan films go, I mean, and that's why Vance Major is such a treasure. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's like, we're going to play Star Trek and we're going to have a fun time and we're going to film it. And if you want to watch it, great. If not, we don't care. And he's unapologetic, and God bless him. He's making his films for himself. Right.
Now he's making films for his kid.
Yeah. How cool is it going to be, for his kid 20 years from now to look back on what he did with his dad? Right?
Yeah. I mean, I fully expect his kid to be making his own films before long.
Yeah, probably.
Like completely on his own. Yeah, I'd like to get Charlie involved in something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Her side of the family are incredibly football daft.
Oh,
so
really?
He's going to be indoctrinated into that.
Oh, you mean soccer?
No. Everybody else in the world calls it football.
Yeah.
Soccer.
So, Josh, we were just talking about how Vance is the man. There we go.
Vance is the man.
Vance is so much the man that it just knocked Josh out.
Yeah,
he's way more than.
No, Josh is like, you're calling him the man over me. I'm out of here.
Nah, Josh knows it. Hey, look, Vance Major's the reason why Josh got into fan film creation in the first place. I mean, he's told the story many times. He's like, if this guy can come here with his cell phone and make a fan film, I think I can do this. You know, I've heard of Josh tell that story so many times, but I love it though, because that's Vance Major. He is the epitome of. I've always said that Vance Major is the personification of the Federation. He is like this altruistic, willing to help out anyone in need, willing to extend an olive branch for people who are, I don't want to say wronged him, but more like disagreed with him and, like that, or have had a scuffle with him, or, so I've seen that dude in the 3 years that I've known him, I've seen him do some major work and, with people, not just fan films, with people.
Yeah. Oh no, Vance is just he is a giant among men. He really is.
He's what you would normally call a mensch.
He's a mensch. He is absolutely a mensch. He's just fun to be around. He's a good dude. Well, and ultimately that's, especially listen, in our 10th year, right? In our 10th year of Axanar, I guess we're technically in our 11th year now.
Is it 10? Wow.
The thing, one thing you learn is you learn about people. I mean, listen, I've known Mark Edward Lewis 12 years now. 12? Yeah, 2013. And I look at, Dale's here, Paul Osborne is here, guys who I've been working with for, 7 years now. And you get to know about people and you get to appreciate people. And, it's not the bullshit that you deal with on the internet. It's real people dealing with real, that you break bread with all the time and work with all the time. And it's not, someone on the internet casting aspersions because they've got nothing better to do and they got a keyboard. It's real life, and that's how you get to know people. And I got to know Vance over the internet, but then we got to meet, and then we got to hang out at Las Vegas together. And we were able to get him into Las Vegas to do a panel, and then he came out to our sets, and you get to know people, just like Alexander. I've been with Alexander at Dragon Con a couple times now.
Mm-hmm.
And so
last year was absolutely epic.
Yeah, Cheetah, you'll come to the premiere of Axanar.
Where are you gonna?
I'll do my best. I mean, got to make sure I can get away from work and the kids. I mean, it's hard to get away from them. They keep on popping up every now and then.
God damn those kids! Jeez. Where do you live again, Cheeto?
Huh?
Where do you live?
Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Oh, Springfield. Oh, so do you have Haitians eating cats where you are?
So look.
No, we mostly eat chipmunks around here. Sorry. Chipmunks, raccoons, squirrels.
So the problem, Alec, is not that I am in the third world country part of Arkansas. There is a part of Arkansas that's like that. It's actually the opposite where I'm at. There are so many people on the road that's probably why I was getting a bad signal. But I'm in my own driveway now, so I'm on my Wi-Fi, so I'm good.
So
you can actually go in your house if you want. We don't want to keep you in your car.
No, it gets peace and quiet. Listen, I know that.
I have a 7-year-old that's very loud.
Yeah, I was about to say he likes the peace and quiet out in the car. I know that one right there. I got kids too.
Crystal does that too.
Well, I've got
her kid is pretty rowdy. I mean,
yeah.
I've got a deck in my backyard, so that's my hangout spot now.
Yeah, the other morning I woke. Crystal came home late from work, and she gets home sometimes like 4 a.m. So, and I had just woken up. The dogs were barking, so I walk. I go downstairs. I'll walk the dogs in the morning before Crystal gets up, and I open the front door, and there's the car's there, and I'm like looking and go, oh, okay. I just closed the door. Crystal was in the car. I guess sometimes she just needs some alone time where she's doing nothing, but I don't know if she's meditating or she's deep breathing exercise or whatever, preparing herself for the hell of, 4 cats, 4 dogs, and
the menagerie.
12
She probably just wants to get away from her slave master.
I was just going to say that, Josh Irwin, you bastard. You stole it.
What is it you told me she calls you earlier on today? Freaking nightmare.
Do you guys, not to get political, but speaking of Springfield, do you guys want to know something, though, that's really, really funny? Is I live quite a distance away from Springfield, Ohio. But did you, there are actual people with, and not to get political, I'm not getting political, but I thought it was funny. I saw people with, Trump posters in front, or the signs in front of their houses. They actually, there's one house I drove by that actually had a sign that said, cats taste like chicken. I'm like, are you trying to defend the fact that they are eating cats?
Are you trying to get your house burned down?
what? I was legit baffled. I was driving and I'm like, I almost forgot I was driving. I'm like, what?
Do you know what? I know exactly what that is in response to, and I think that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's
even.
So I got cut off while I was driving while we were having the discussion about fan films and acting, and I'm just going to add something real quick before I go eat dinner, and it's this. If somebody is a Hollywood actor, if they're a perfect body type, amazingly gifted actor, that's where they're going to be. They're going to be in LA, Montreal, Vancouver, New Zealand, wherever people are making movies, Atlanta, doing that. They're not going to be in a fan film, because by the very nature of what a fan film is, like, we can't pay actors to be in our movies. And what I try to do, and it's the best approach that I've come up with thus far, is I find people who are aspiring actors, people who want to be actors.
And you've done a good job. Yeah,
and I bring in people who are just trying to build resume material.
Yep. And also, the longer you do it, the actors, even if they're not top-notch actors, they get used to playing a role.
And they get better.
And they get better at it. I think I'd like to think I'm better now playing Garth than I was 10 years ago. Because
who has become an amazing actor is who I was talking about the other day. It's Vance. Vance
has done a good job.
And I had this hot take on this video that I did, that if Vance went to LA, if he went to Vancouver, one of those places, he would get cast. And I'll tell you why. Because casting directors aren't always looking for a perfectly built 20-year-old model.
Well, of course not.
They're looking for whatever the script calls for.
That's right.
If the script calls for a big dude, they're going to look for big dudes. And Vance has the acting chops to play characters in real movies.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree that he is a phenomenal villain. Like, I think he's great at acting too. But man, when he plays the Phantom, I'm like, he is so good at playing a bad guy. So good.
Oh, I just wrote a script for him for the Phantom. I called him on the phone and I said, I want to use the Phantom. And he's like, and we spent like an hour talking and came up with a plot. And I wrote something last night and sent it to him.
Oh, good. Good. I told Vance, I said, my only note is stop making your character so goddamn morose. I said, I want to see him smile some. I said, yeah, I know he's had tragedy. He's like, I know life sucks and he's time traveling, but lighten up once in a while. Which is more a character note than an acting note.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go eat dinner with my kids. Congratulations on your live stream, and looking forward.
Sounds good, my friend. You take care.
See ya.
All right.
We just did a 2.5 hour interview, or like 2 hour and 50-minute interview with Josh and Tyler and Neil for their wins with Jonathan Lang's awards. So it was a really good discussion. We had a lot of good. We talked to all three of them, and we had a really good conversation with all of them. Just about, and it wasn't because we've interviewed them a lot recently, like in the past couple years. So we tried to kind of come up with different questions, not like, well, how did you get into fan film creating? Or, like, what was your inspiration behind the story here? Like, we kind of just kind of went off the wall and just kind of were talking about some, just some great, interesting questions that weren't, your typical interview questions. So we had a lot of fun with them on that one.
Very cool. William Wells clearly hasn't been with us before. We've discussed that before, William.
He's actually, I think he's commenting on the NerdTube channel, so I don't know if he's ever been with you guys.
Not much, apart from a bit of the casting, we don't know much about it right now. So I'm reserving judgment.
That's why I'm hoping Jay was going to join us, because he has a little more information on the behind the scenes of what's happening. But were you going to say something, Cheeto?
Huh?
Were you going to say something?
Oh, I mean, my typical answer for that one is, I'm not a fan of the time period. Like I didn't really want it in the 32nd century, but I more wanted it in the Picard era. But I've always championed a Starfleet Academy show. Whether it be TOS, motion picture, next gen, post Nemesis, like any of those time frames. Like I've always wanted a Starfleet Academy where you start with these characters in year one of Starfleet Academy and you follow them through Starfleet Academy, and then when that 3 years is up, you can either do one of two things. You can either split them off and start different stories on different ships, kind of like a Days of Our Lives.
4 years.
Is it 4? I thought it was 3.
The Academy is 4 years.
It is?
That's what I would assume.
I swear it's 3 years.
4 years. No, we've heard of 3-year cadets, but they still have a year to go.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe.
No,
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. Continue.
But I've always championed and as I said, I would love for it to either spin off into a new show that's like Days of Our Lives, where you follow these cadets as they are now ensigns on on different starships. I think it would be too perfect if they all went to the same ship. Be like, oh, we all just got assigned to the same ships. I think we should like the Days of Our Lives type thing, where we go to different ships and it expands the cast.
Yeah, cool. I agree.
I mean, if it's written properly, I think it could be a good show.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at the cast list. We got a good cast
Alec
list.
I know Alec likes Paul Giamatti, so you're going to be watching it for that.
He's a great actor.
I love that. And Paul Giamatti loves Star Trek. So that's a good thing. You get these people that love, and that's kind of like who did I see today? Somebody who passed on a role in Star Trek. It was a big actor, but he passed because it's just not the right role for me. I don't want to just be in Star Trek. I want to be in a role that.
James McAvoy.
Was it James McAvoy? I thought it was. Oh yeah, you're right, James McAvoy.
Interesting.
Yeah. He passed on a role because he didn't. And he just didn't want to be in Star Trek. He wanted to be something in Star Trek. I mean, I think he should be a young Jean-Luc Picard. I mean, that might, work.
Well, I mean, he's
yeah, I know, young Professor Xavier. Yeah.
No.
They missed a trick. Although I think Nemesis came out. Yeah, Nemesis came out way before First Class. So I was going to say they missed a trick there, but I'm like, no, it came out way before. Nemesis came out in 2002.
I mean, McAvoy was an actor before then, but I don't think he was known as well to Hollywood as he was once he got to Professor X.
Yeah, and I don't want a Starfleet Academy that just follows and I know that the original Starfleet Academy that was proposed in the 70s or 80s was we're gonna put Kirk and the crew in Starfleet. No, we're not Muppet Babies. The TOS crew, you know what I mean? Don't Muppet Babies them. Make an original. There was a game called Starfleet Academy that came out in the 90s. I loved it, and you had all new characters, and it was a great game, and it would have made a great movie or show. I thought. Anyway, go ahead, Alec. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there's, and listen, there's as Stern mentioned, a show, post Enterprise after the Romulan War ends, or heck, they too bad they missed the opportunity on the Romulan War. I mean that
I wanted that so bad. I wanted that Romulan War so bad.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a great canon breaking event because my dad would always be so mad because he's like, well, they didn't have warp 5 ships during the Romulan War. They used these big they did have warp 5, but the ships couldn't do it. So they had these big ships that could go warp, and then they would have attached smaller ships. And then when they would warp into places, they would detach the ships, and that's how they would fight. Plus they use nuclear weapons, which, you could still use that in Enterprise, but
sure.
But my dad was always like, oh, it's such a canon breaking thing if they do it with Enterprise. I'm like, shut up.
I mean, they would never have brought the Daedalus class in because it's a goofy looking ship. And
yeah, but it's become such a staple of canon.
Oh,
know?
absolutely. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think Berman would have brought it in as a ship that you would see in any regularity on Enterprise if they had gone further on with series and we see the Romulan War.
Yeah,
they'd invent new ships.
I don't know. I mean, they still did a pretty good. Like, you remember when they brought the Defiant back, like in the Amir Darkly, like that. The Defiant looked exactly like it did in TOS. So I think honestly they would have like upgraded it a little bit look wise, texture wise.
You guys reminded me. Hold on one second. I've got a little. I got a little treat for you guys. Because I
think I know what this is.
I was supposed to check this out yesterday. Chris, our VFX guy, sent it to me, and I was driving at the time. This always happens. I'm driving. I was like, I'll check it when I get home, and then I forget to do it when I get home. But I just did.
Tell me about it.
Let's first of all hold on. Let's get rid of that. Then we will.
Yeah. There it is. The ball and shaft itself.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Hey, I am a fan. I like the Daedalus class. I always say it wrong. The Daedalus class. Like
Daedalus.
Sorry, I always say it wrong. I like the ship. I think it is a practical looking ship for that era.
Oh, Alex,
why not?
I saw you looking. You need to get it. I know exactly what you were looking for there. I saw you looking around, looking over your shoulder. You need to show it.
All right, hold on.
Cheeto's going to geek out.
I gotta move stuff around here.
I studied this thing when I was at his place last year. Oh, he has got a screen used prop.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, this is the Daedalus model. This is the USS Horizon model from Cisco's office.
From whose office?
Cisco's office.
Cisco's. Okay, that's what I thought you said. Nice.
So, yes.
Just don't.
So yeah, and literally, we did I took detailed photographs of it and sent them to our VFX guy, and said, "Look, this is it. This is the real one." So,
his treatment of it is just gorgeous.
Yeah, no, and he's done a phenomenal job. So that's all going to be in Daedalus. So,
data is it Daedalus, like Daedalus, but Daedalus. I always say it wrong, and I just can't. I don't know why, but
so think DAE would be pronounced day.
Daedalus.
Daedalus. Well, I always want to put a T in there, so data.
Daedalus, yeah.
So there you go. So what else?
Tomato.
That kind of I mean, that was interesting when they did it in was that season 3 of
The Guardian of Forever, does he mean?
Yeah, The Guardian of Forever. It's okay.
I
think they're making fun of the fact that I mispronounce things. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys.
I loved how he puts the paper down, and then in the original voice, "I am the Guardian of Forever." You're like, oh, that was goosebumps. The hairs on the back of my neck just stood up right.
I had somebody when that first came out. We just started doing reviews on Star Trek on NerdTube, and like somebody like, this is such a waste of the Guardian of Forever. It should have come back in a bigger way. And I'm like, no, I think this was a pretty good way to bring it back. Like I think it, you have a great character like Georgiou, even if it's the mirror version, and you're using it like the Guardian of Forever is not this character. The Guardian of Forever is a thing, even in the episode. You know what I mean? Like it was in the beginning and at the end of the episode. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like it. I think it was a great use of it.
Yeah,
for one of the main characters.
I don't have a problem with it whatsoever.
I know, but so you know how some Trek fans are.
Oh yeah, you can't please them all.
No,
you get a little bit.
We seem
like
to
Star
find
Wars
the ones
fans
that can't be pleased at all.
Now they say this should be such and such, so you give them such and such, and they go, "Oh, that's been done before." You're like, you just can't win. You just can't win with some of them. It's a lot like Star Wars fans, you know. The Force Awakens was too much like A New Hope, so they make something completely different. Oh, that's too different. It's like, oh, just appreciate that you're getting something.
Yeah, I don't lump Trek fans though with Star Wars fans. I can tell you right now, and I'm sorry if anyone in the chat is. Star Wars fans are my least favorite fans of any fandom ever.
Really? Why is that? Tell me that, Cheetah. Why
because
is that?
You come across so many that are just so unsatiable and
insatiable.
I mean, there are a lot of bigoted ones out there, sexist ones. Oh yeah.
Name a fandom that's actually caused mental health issues to some of the actors. Because the fans didn't like their
and
their
it's not
characters,
even just that; it's
or
the
drove them
frequency
away
of
from
it.
show business.
It's the frequency of it too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I mean, what's her face? Chan.
The one that played Rose.
Yeah, Rose. She had to delete all her social media because she was getting such backlash, and it went from we don't like your character. I don't like her character either because she sacrificed the entire what was left of the rebellion for a kiss, right? But that's not the actress's fault,
right?
But she was getting so much hate, and she just had to delete her social media presence.
That is totally inexcusable.
Absolutely,
right?
But I'm just saying that is
fandom. I think it's inexcusable for fandom to do anything of the sort to the actors that's in a negative way. They are doing a job, and they may not even give a shit about Star Wars. I mean, because it's a job to them. It's not necessarily their livelihood. It's not their hobby. It's not their passion. It's just the job, and they've got some of them, like Ewan McGregor, were Star Wars fans, and then they got a role in Star Wars, and they couldn't be happier. Great. Some of them are like, it's just a job. Whatever. I came in, I read my lines, I got a paycheck. Boom. So if they can then leverage that into conventions and sign autographs for fans, God bless you. But don't expect them to give a shit about what you don't like about their character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I like Star Wars. I'm not saying anything that terrible about Star Wars itself. I'm just saying, like, in my travels across nerddom, Star Wars fans are just. I mean, look at the Acolyte, and as I said, regardless of what your thoughts are on the show, the backlash of like what the director said, what the actors have said, the bullying and stuff like that of people. It's just, and as I said, trust me, Trek, Doctor Who, Marvel, DC, they've all got their bad eggs, but like Star Wars for some reason just seems to all those bad eggs gravitate there, and they might be the same people through all the different fandoms combined. Like those same people just all come together in Star Wars. It's that middle circle when all the other circles are out here.
Yeah,
and that's in the Venn diagram, bigots, intolerance, and OCD, and they're where it all intersects.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yep, Star Wars fans.
And as I said, every fandom has that stuff, but I've just come to find that Star Wars is saturated.
It seems to me, for some reason, it's more prevalent in Star Wars. I don't understand why. I mean, I've seen soccer fans behave better.
I just like giving.
I can't. I can't say one way or another. I don't really hang around Star Wars fans or interact with them, just because my love of Star Wars. Listen, I don't necessarily do that with Star Trek either. I'm not on Facebook groups or we obviously do have a chapter of Starfleet, the Star Trek fan club, but I would prefer my fandom to be positive, not negative, and I'm not interested in engaging. We can talk about the 10 best episodes of Star Trek. I'm not interested in talking about the 10 worst episodes of Star Trek, right? You can tell me.
But here's the thing: is that I don't. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying the one thing that annoys me the most about Star Wars fans, coming from a costuming perspective, is anytime I go to a convention here in Scotland, and sometimes down in England, and there's a large contingent of the 501st there. If as soon as there's more than 4 of them, they make it an official 501st event, even though they're not even invited. They're just coming along. Anyway, they'll always take over the changing rooms, and then me and my friends pitch up. There's about 10 of us in Trek gear, and they'll look down on us like there's something to be stepped on.
Yeah, and I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either, but I snapped last year. We were looking for the changing room. We were told to go left and then right and then left again. And we got to it, and there was all these Star Wars people here, and they saw us with our Trek costumes in our bags, and they went, "No, this isn't for your franchise." I went, "No, we're looking for the better franchise."
Yeah.
I
just don't understand that because fandom is fandom. I may not understand fans of anime, but I don't look down on them. It's a different fandom. Or Doctor Who. I'm not particularly a Doctor Who fan, but doesn't
I'm
mean
not a Whovian either.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I look down on them. It's like we are all fans of something.
They're a chill bunch of people, I've found. Who fans? They're very chill.
And if you're a comic fan, I mean, it's like being a comic fan. Well, I'm not necessarily a DC fan. I'm a Marvel guy. It doesn't mean I look down on them. It's just apples and oranges. It's whatever you happen to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't. You see all sorts of stuff at DragonCon. Everything is possible there, and I just enjoy the experience. I don't look down on people because they're wearing something that I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if that's what you like to wear to costume as, you do that. If you're a fan of that, cool, awesome. I just don't understand why there's so much animosity from the Star Wars fans.
Yeah, it's just too bad because there's so much diversity in Star Wars fandom, right? I mean, there's the 501st, there's the Rebel Alliance, there's the Mandalorians, there's a lot of different groups, and you would think that they would all, enjoy each other's company. It's not competitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's also because it's so saturated with pop culture too. Like Star Wars, let's be honest, Star Wars is more popular than Star Trek. Even though most everybody knows Star Trek,
right?
Most people know more Star Wars than they know Star Trek.
Sure.
So it's like
because Star Wars appeals to a wider audience.
Yeah, so that's more. So that's why I'm just kind of like, but that's why I think it is too, because as I said, they all just kind of gravitate towards that middle portion, and and then you get the people that like, oh, I'm a Star Wars fan, and it's like, really, like I got a fan in my room, like it's just so stupid, and
yeah.
As I said, if you don't, I actually just had this discussion with somebody today about they talk about Kurtzman Trek, and I'm not trying to get too far into that, but it's just like they hate all of it. But every time they say, I hate it. It sucked. I hate it. It's like, they don't back it up. And I'm like, if you hate current Star Trek that much, why are you watching it? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And also, I think it's hard. I tend to immediately discount when someone says, "Oh, I hate Kurtzman Trek," I immediately discount that opinion because right now what have they done? 5 shows, right?
Yeah.
5 shows. Okay, so you hate Discovery. Good, I got it. I get it. Totally can see that. I don't like it either. Lower Decks. Wait a second. You hate Lower Decks? Why do you hate Lower Decks? That's like written for fans. That or Prodigy. You may not like Prodigy, but it's kind of hard to hate that show. It's maybe the most Star Trek of all the Kurtzman shows. You know, Picard, season 1 and 2 were mediocre, but season 3 was pretty damn good. So, you know, is that what you tell me? And then, you know, and then it's kind of, if you're telling me you hate Strange New Worlds, and this is kind of why I disagree with someone like Doomcock, you know, I say, who just hates everything Kurtzman does. I'm like, well, that's kind of hard to say you hate everything Kurtzman does. You know, how do you hate Strange New Worlds? I mean, you know, it's a lot closer to what we're used to than Discovery. So I don't know. That's my take.
Strange New Worlds works in any era of Star Trek. You know, you could put one of Strange New Worlds episodes in the Next Generation or Deep Space Nine or even Voyager, and it would work.
Well, a lot of them are like, oh, the Enterprise bridge didn't look like that. And it's like, go pluck a duck.
Yeah. Do you really think that they're going to redo the TOS bridge or even more primitive for
there are some fan films out there that take offense.
Well, they're fan films, and they've got a very small audience, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, listen, that's what I've said, that we are, you know, we may be a more faithful reproduction of TOS Star Trek than Strange New Worlds, but you're not going to get someone making Strange New Worlds that decides to make the bridge looking like our bridge, because
it's a 60s version of what the future looks like, and we surpassed that in the 80s.
Yeah,
you know, it looks dated.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it does.
Dale Simpson says, "I like Metalis Trek." I just want to point out that Kurtzman hired Metalis, and so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, so if Kurtzman hired Metalis and put him in the position and let him run with it, you know, everyone's like, oh, he didn't know what Metalis was doing. I'm pretty sure he knew what Metalis was doing for a whole season of Star Trek. You know, like, oh, it did because Kurtzman was off focusing on Discovery or something like that. I'm like, no. Kurtzman put Metalis there. He saw what he was doing. He let him run with it. You don't just get all that greenlit without Kurtzman greenlighting it. So
that's right. That's right. Exactly.
That's like me just flying down to Alec, shooting a whole Axanar shoot, Alec not seeing any of it, releasing it, and then Alec being like, "Wait a minute, where did this come from?"
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, there's no way in hell that Kurtzman didn't see the dailies. He may not have seen every daily, but he would have seen what they were doing, and he would have been, because he's the number one guy. He would have had to sign off on it going, yep, I'm happy with that.
But that's the part of it. We've talked about it before here. That's the role of an executive producer, is to put the right people in the right places.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. That's
something that Alec excels at. I'm told. I'm told your film shoots are always fantastic.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they are. I think we always have we generally have great people. We've had some turds, but
you can't get everything right.
I think recently, last few years, we've really been running on all cylinders. And I think listen, that's why post-production is so much fun right now. We just got such great people working on it. So well, listen, we've been an hour and a half. We were going to have a couple other people, but they were not able to make it. So I think we'll probably wrap it up now. An hour and a half for 150th episode of Axanar After Dark. We will.
I was hoping we'd go another 20 minutes to make it 150 minutes.
oh, we could do that.
But it's fine. It's fine.
Listen, everyone, stay tuned. I'm good. Hopefully, we're going to be doing Axanar Confidential this week. I've got a special guest lined up for that, but we may have to record it beforehand, the interview portion of it. So I'll keep you guys posted on that, and stay tuned. There's a lot happening behind the scenes that we're not talking about on a lot of different fronts. the one thing we are talking about is post-production. But there's a lot of other stuff that I think will ultimately be good for Axanar that we will keep you informed about as we can. But right now we're keeping a low profile on a bunch of stuff. So, but we're excited. We're excited about the future. Excited about Skydance taking over Paramount. And just excited about excited about releasing Axanar. So thanks everyone for joining us on the journey. Thank you, Alexander, once again, who did some great work today for us. And get that Warhammer and Sex Toys logo going. We need those T-shirts.
I'll do that tomorrow.
All right, Cheeto, my friend, it's good to see you again. Please don't eat any cats.
I'm trying not to. I'm resisting.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will be back hopefully Friday night for Axanar Confidential. And in the meantime, I'll probably be doing and then on the weekend, we'll probably be doing a weekend brunch with Axanar. So stay tuned for that. And we'll keep you posted. All right. Cheers, everyone. Live long and prosper. We'll see you guys around the universe. Cheers.
Toodles.